Good evening. Prime Minister's new office will be known as Seva Teerth, or the sacred place of service. The Narendra Modi government insists this is an ideological shift in governance from Satta or power and authority to Seva or service. So the executive enclave under the Central Vista Redevelopment Project, which includes the Cabinet Secretariat and the National Security Secretariat Council, will also be a part of the Seva Teerth.
मैकाले नाम के एक अंग्रेज ने भारत को अपनी जड़ों से उखाड़ने के बीज बोए थे। अब हमने नौसेना के ध्वज से गुलामी के हर प्रतीक को हटाया है।
Modi takes on Macaulay mindset. PMO to be renamed Seva Teerth. Decolonizing India's institutions. Lok Bhavan replaces Raj Bhavan.
अगर हम ठान ले अगले 10 साल में मानसिक गुलामी से पूरी तरह मुक्ति पा लेंगे।
Opposition mocks rename Sarkar, not calm Sarkar.
नाम बदलने से कुछ नहीं होता। आखिर सेवा तीर्थ नाम रखा गया, सेवाएं क्या हुई? सवाल ये है।
Cultural reset breaks colonial chains. Renaming India, token or transformation? That is a big focus on India First.
So from Rajpath to Kartavya Path, from Racecourse Road to Lok Kalyan Marg, Raj Bhavan, Governor's House across the country, now to be known as Lok Bhavan. But will this then bring about that intended change in the ideology of governance to serve the people of Bharatvarsh? Or is there merit in the opposition saying, naam badalne se kya hota hai? There should be change in the work culture of the bureaucracy to deliver for the benefit of the people of our country. We debate that. Also coming up at 8:30 tonight, Imran Khan is alive. His sister Uzma Khan, who met him in Adiala jail, said yes, he's alive, though he's very angry with Field Marshal Asim Munir for keeping him in solitary confinement and the mental torture he's undergoing. We get you details from across the border in Pakistan, and ahead of the Navy Day, we get you the new war doctrine or the thinking in the Indian Navy. So action-packed 60 minutes. I'm Gaurav Sawant. As always, let's get started with the headlines on India First. Amidst a showdown over the special intensive revision of electoral rolls, Parliament to debate electoral reforms on the 9th of December. 10 hours have been allocated for the debate in Lok Sabha. On the Sanchar Sathi app controversy, opposition raises snooping concerns, rakes up right to privacy. Government clarifies, says it's not mandatory for users to register. They can delete the app.
कोई मैंडेटरी नहीं है। आप अगर रजिस्टर नहीं करना चाहते हो, मतलब कि उदाहरण के तौर पे इस ऐप का उपयोग नहीं करना चाहते, तो रजिस्टर मत करो।
DK Shivkumar hosts Siddaramaiah for round 2 of the breakfast meeting. Idli, nati chicken on the platter. Both leaders call each other brother. Siddaramaiah says DK Shivkumar will become Chief Minister when the top brass make him the Chief Minister. The Asim Munir regime buckles under pressure after meeting Imran Khan. Sister Uzma Khan says brother is being tortured mentally in Rawalpindi's Adiala jail, blames General Asim Munir for Imran Khan's condition. Pakistan exposed for sending expired flood relief material to Sri Lanka. Relief packages shared by Pakistan High Commission itself show the expiry date on food that was being sent, expired in 2024. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's new office will be known as Seva Teerth, or the sacred place of service. This is part of the ideological transformation in governance in the 11th year of the Narendra Modi government. Public service institutions are undergoing what is being described as a quiet yet profound shift from Satta to Seva, or as the government puts it, from authority to service with responsibility. This change is being seen not just in the administrative setup, but also in the culture and the moral that the government wants to send across. It's in the morality of governance. We get you more in this report, including the opposition mocking the renamed Sarkar.
मैकाले नाम के एक अंग्रेज ने भारत को अपनी जड़ों से उखाड़ने के बीज बोए थे। मैकाले ने भारत में मानसिक गुलामी की नींव रखी।
After Prime Minister Modi's call to shed the Macaulay mindset, the NDA government is moving fast to reflect that shift. From Raj Bhavans to the nation's most powerful officers, names are changing. The new PMO complex will be named Seva Teerth. Raj Bhavans across states are now Lok Bhavans. Rajpath was earlier redesigned and retitled Kartavya Path. The Prime Minister's current residence address had been changed to Lok Kalyan Marg in 2016. The Central Secretariat is now Kartavya Bhavan. The Planning Commission was replaced by Niti Aayog. And a series of colonial-era names and symbols including road signs. And the Navy's ensign have been updated. In last 11 years, more than 1,500 colonial-era laws have been repealed.
मैकाले नाम के एक अंग्रेज ने भारत को अपनी जड़ों से उखाड़ने के बीज बोए थे। मैकाले ने भारत में मानसिक गुलामी की नींव रखी थी। मैकाले ने जो कुछ सोचा था, उसका प्रभाव कहीं व्यापक हुआ। हमें आजादी मिली, लेकिन हीन भावना से मुक्ति नहीं मिली। हमारे यहां एक विकार आ गया कि विदेश की हर चीज, हर व्यवस्था अच्छी है और जो हमारी अपनी चीजें हैं, उनमें खोट ही खोट है।
With the PMO now set to shift to Seva Teerth, officials describe the move as more than a relocation but a symbolic reset and a break from the older administrative framework.
अगर हम ठान ले अगले 10 साल में मानसिक गुलामी से पूरी तरह मुक्ति पा लेंगे और तब जाकर के ऐसी ज्वाला प्रज्वलित होगी, ऐसा आत्मविश्वास बढ़ेगा कि 2047 तक विकसित भारत का सपना पूरा होने से भारत को कोई रोक नहीं पाएगा।
Opposition alleges changing name not important but doing a real work is key.
मोदी सरकार का जब इतिहास पढ़ा जाएगा तो जो गिनीज बुक ऑफ वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड सारे रिकॉर्ड तोड़ देंगे। सबसे ज्यादा नाम बदलने का शौक किसी को रहा है, रिकॉर्ड किसी ने बनाया तो मोदी सरकार है। और ये छोड़िए, जो सरकारें गई हैं उनकी योजनाएं रखी वही, नाम बदल दिया है।
आखिर सेवा तीर्थ नाम रखा गया, सेवाएं क्या हुई? सवाल ये है, तो वो लोक भवन में हो क्या रहा है, ये जरा पता करिए। भ्रष्टाचार के केंद्र बन गए हैं।
The message from the Prime Minister has been clear. A move away from colonial era legacies and towards a new governance identity. With Aishwarya Paliwal, Bureau Report, India Today.
You saw that Sengol being put in Lok Sabha, then from Racecourse Road to Lok Kalyan Marg, from Rajpath to Kartavya Path, from the Prime Minister's office to Seva Teerth. Is this just about changing the name, or is there a cultural transformation that is being attempted here, and is that cultural transformation taking place? The battle lines are very clearly drawn, with the Congress insisting this is just rename Sarkar. They're just changing names. Governance model remains the same. Joining me on India First is Charu Pragya, representing the Bharatiya Janata Party. Arshpreet Khadial represents the Congress. Professor Makhanlal is a historian. Neerja Chowdhury is a senior journalist and political commentator. I want to begin by asking you, Charu Pragya, explain this concept. Why will the Prime Minister's office be known as Seva Teerth?
Good evening, Gaurav. This is a conscious civilizational correction. We are going from the mindset a monarchy had regarding its subjects to what a government is supposed to have regarding its subjects. It's about citizens now. It's about duty now. There's nobody walking down a Rajpath anymore. There's no one lording over the citizens of our country anymore. Everyone who's elected, selected by the people of this country are here to serve, and that is why the Kartavya Path. And I think these names are powerful shifts in mindsets. This is not just a change in name. This is a shift in mindset, and I think Modi government has upheld this since the first day when Lok Kalyan Marg.
No, but are we to believe that this didn't
Yeah.
happen on the 26th of January 1950? Every government that came subsequently elected by the people, chosen by the people to govern, whether it was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru or Indira Gandhi or Lal Bahadur Shastri or Indira Gandhi again, and a number of other leaders who came in, including Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Dr. Manmohan Singh, and now Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
You know, I'm going to say this with a lot of responsibility. This is an ideological transition, and India needed that. Otherwise, tell me, why did the canopy at India Gate remain empty after King George V statue was removed? It was Modi government which decided to install a statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. It was Modi government that decided to reclaim our civilizational heritage and history and talk about this idea of duty. Tell me one prime minister before Prime Minister Modi who said on entering parliament that he's become a Pradhan Sevak. He did not talk in a way where he was seeming to be lording over the citizens of our country. He's here to serve. His government is here to serve. And this transition, this mindset is very visible in the way our government approaches all administrative projects. And I think the citizens of this country also stand by it. Why else would Modi government be elected back in power for a historical third term? We seem to be doing that again and again because this is not
the
just
government
the name.
says it's a deeper ideological transition that is taking place. Perhaps their belief is from the Mai-Bap Sarkars of the past to the culture of Seva and Kartavya, service and duty as the ethos of governance.
Thank you for the question. The Bharatiya Janata Party is a name changer government, not a game changer government. The Bharatiya Janata Party has basically failed to deliver all the promises that they had made back in the day. So in order to divert attention, they come up with this, and you can very well see we are debating on this issue instead of debating on education, employment, healthcare, corruption, etc.
We also debate all of that, Arshpreet Khadial.
Definitely,
We
Gaurav.
debate
Gaurav,
all of that. It's
definitely,
not as if we
Gaurav.
do not debate other issues.
Gaurav, you definitely do, and you do a lot. But we are talking about the government and their intentions, which is to divert attentions from their failures, from their blunders, and bring it to this. And my request to the Bharatiya Janata Party's government is your never-ending obsession with changing names has set a record for you of all sorts, and the objective is very clear. You see, 30 schemes that the Bharatiya Janata Party has renamed were implemented during the Congress regime. I'll tell you, I'll give you an example of it. Whether it be Make in India, whether it be Make in India, which used to be National Manufacturing Policy, Swachh Bharat, which used to be Nirmal Bharat Abhiyan, Beti Bachao, which used to be National Girl Child Day Program, PM Ujjwala Yojana, which used to be free LPG connection to BPL families, Digital India, which used to be National E-Governance Plan. They have also changed IPC, which has now become BNS. They have changed CRPC, which has now become BNSS. They have changed Evidence Act, which has now become BSA. Executive Enclave, Seva Teerth, and the BJP spokesperson said that we are trying to do away with monopoly. Are you trying to suggest that for the last 11 years, your regime was reeking of monopoly because the name was not Seva Teerth and it was executive enclave? Is this the kind of politics and governance that the
Can
Bharatiya
I
Janata Party
respond,
wants to
please,
impart?
Gaurav?
My
Okay,
request
yes,
is,
quickly before I
one
bring in
second, I did
Neerja
not interrupt
Chowdhury.
you. I did not interrupt you. I expect the same courtesy from the BJP spokesperson. Raj Niwas is now being turned into Lok Bhavan, Rajpath into Kartavya Path, Central Administrative Complex into Kartavya Bhavan,
Yes.
and many others. My
Yeah,
question
we've
is,
been over that.
what
Can
we,
I come in
one
now?
second, do not interrupt me. What do we achieve? We waste our resources,
I will
we
tell you.
waste our money, we waste our time. This time,
Okay.
money, energy, resources should be utilized
Fair enough.
elsewhere.
Quickly respond,
It should
Charu
be
Pragya,
utilized
before I bring
elsewhere.
in
Don't
Neerja
waste
Chowdhury
it.
and Professor
You already have
Makhanlal.
so many liabilities because of you.
Okay, so Gaurav,
So optics game should be done away with.
now may I speak? Gaurav, the party which used to be in power previously, the Congress, it named over 450 institution, roads and buildings in the government after the Nehru-Gandhi dynasty. They gave things names only to please political bosses. Today, we are giving names to correct history. We are trying to move away with this mindset of Raj. They, like you just heard, Arshpreet, they talk about Raj, Rajpath, Raj Bhavan, Raj this, Raj that, and that is exactly the mindset that we are trying to erase.
Do
This
it
is
through
not Raj.
actions.
This is Kartavya.
Okay.
This is
Why not show
Seva.
it through
And
actions?
Kartavya and Seva, Arshpreet, follow your own advice and do not interrupt me. The concept of Kartavya and
But
Seva
why no
has to
action?
trickle down from the tallest leaders down to the last person serving in governance, and it makes a difference, Gaurav. This mindset makes a lot of difference.
Fair
No
enough.
one is
Let me
here to
now bring in
lord over
Neerja
anyone.
Chowdhury into this conversation, because Neerja Chowdhury, you've covered governments of the left, right and center, and over decades, you see this as an ideological transition. Is just changing names, or is there a deeper change that is happening with Narendra Modi in his 11th year as Prime Minister? The concept of Seva Teerth, is it changing from Satta to Seva, or is it just another name?
Look, the goal is desirable, certainly Satta to Seva. And as far as, what you say, the PMO will be Seva Teerth, the Central Secretariat Kartavya Bhavan. So the shift to Seva and Kartavya, Raj to Lok as concepts, desirable. And I have no problem with the names being changed. The thing is that it is not enough. My problem is that it is not enough. You've got to go beyond that. And how do you go beyond that? The idea of the Prime Minister's office being, which is the most powerful of a Prime Minister who's popular and strong, and it's where decision making is done today. Most of the decision making is done there today. Therefore, being associated with Seva, very good. Central Secretariat with Kartavya, very good, because that's the way it should be. But how do you get rid of the slavish mentality that the Prime Minister has talked about when he refers to Macaulay and his minute on education in the 19th century? That is the real challenge. And there, Gaurav, I would say, questioning minds of Indians. That's where I will go to the extent of saying encouraging dissent. What does dissent mean? Dissent is not only that you criticize the government of the day, important though it is to make it accountable. Dissent means that you unleash creativity. You don't accept the way things have been necessarily. You question. You think out of the box. Therefore, the creativity of the Indians will be unleashed. And I think that kind of a mindset is what we need to go for. And I think I am for the Prime Minister setting those goals for our institutions. But we have to go beyond that, how to incentivize Indians, how to create a confident nation that we need to become. And we will
That's a
become.
good point you make. Become this confident nation that will challenge the status quo and think out of the box. Professor Makhanlal, is this what the Prime Minister meant when he said we need to fight that Macaulay mindset, that slavish mindset? The British were rulers. The bureaucrats are being told that you may call yourself public servants, but you need to have that seva bhav in the governance. You cannot be the brown sahibs that we see many bureaucrats who turn out to be these brown sahibs. So is that what the Prime Minister's intention is?
Let me congratulate Neerja ji. She has right nail and right hammer in her hands, just that she needs to get a few more heads to nail on it. Because she's very correct about mentality, about other things, but those who are saying name changing problem, I would like as a historian to remind something. When Governor General vacated and Rajendra Prasad moved in, why did he not move into Rajshahi House? Why did he move in Rashtrapati Bhavan? When Jawaharlal Nehru moved in Commander-in-Chief House, why was it named Teen Murti House? Why the Council House was named Parliament House? Why? What was the need? Buildings remain the same. Why the Rajpath, Kingsway, was made into Rajpath? Why Queensway was made into Janpath?
Janpat, yes.
Why was Yark Road made into Motilal Nehru Marg? Why was Karjan Road made into Kasturba Gandhi Marg? Why was Wellesley Road was made into Zakir Hussain Marg? Why was King George Avenue made into Rajaji Marg? Why was Prince Edward Place, just a minute, Prince Edward Place made into Vijay Chowk? Vijay Chowk of what? Vijay on whom? Then King Edward Road, Maulana Azad Road. Queen Victoria Road, Rajendra Prasad Road. All those who did this, first they should explain why did they do it. Before casting a stone on somebody else. Question is, look at yourself first, give explanation to the nation, and then ask questioning. And Neerja ji has replied very well, yes, name has a meaning. What's in a name is not only a Shakespearean proverb. It carries a lot of meaning, and all those who are interested, here is book.
No, that's a very interesting point you make, sir. So while this was done in 1947, the British names were changed to Indian names, Charu, Pragya. Why are we further Indianizing those names? What didn't happen between Rajpath becoming Kartavya Path or Lok Kalyan Marg or Lok Bhavan? The body remains the same, many argue. Names keep changing. What else is changing, Charu, Pragya?
See, the mindset that we have to now choose responsibility over the concept of power is what is percolating down, Gaurav. And we have to keep our eyes on this. The fact is that for the longest time, India had a government which was ruled by one dynasty. That's why I gave you the example of over 450 government buildings, offices, and schemes being named after the Nehru Gandhi dynasty. Why did that happen? Because there were political bosses, maybe not a monarchy, but in a way that monarchy was replaced by this Gandhi family. And I think that is what the Congress is still focusing on. They're still not able to move beyond a few surnames that they pay homage to. Today, we want to focus on people. I think that is the difference between then and now. We want to focus on people. We want to talk about seva. We want to talk about duty.
Arshpreet, Khadial, do you want to quickly respond that, the British may have changed, the BJP says then the Gandhi family took over and everything was named after Nehru's and Gandhi's. A lot of that is changing. Do you also see this, as the Prime Minister puts it, fighting a Macaulay mindset? The Brown Sahibs may have replaced the ICS, but that Kartavya Bhavna needs to come in.
See, Gaurav, I did not interrupt the BJP spokesperson. I humbly request that she doesn't do the same and have the courtesy to not do it. Number one, the Bharatiya Janata Party says that we want to do seva and we want to do our kartavya. That's why we are changing all these names. All right. If the Bharatiya Janata Party believes by changing the names and making it seva and kartavya and lok, they'll actually be doing it in their actions. I believe.
Yes, we are doing it.
Please do not interrupt me. I did not interrupt you. Gaurav, she keeps on interrupting me.
No.
I request that her fader goes down.
Arshpreet, you forget that you've had
at least have the
99 losses
courtesy,
in a row.
have the courtesy to keep quiet and hear the opposition. So my request is, Gaurav, that the Bharatiya Janata Party should know actions speak louder than words. Just by adding names, seva and kartavya does not mean that your actions have also turned into that. If it were, Mr. Modi would have done at least one press conference in the last 11 years.
It comes down to that.
Mr. Modi and the BJP government is not doing its kartavya. They are not having debates. They're not having discussions. We're having the shortest possible session of the parliament in its history, in the history of India. It's a temple of democracy. And you have cut short the session
the moment
by
completes.
1 second, by 5 days. you have cut short the session. At least you should have had a 20-day session. We have 13 bills to pass. You did not even send it to the standing committee for examination and analysis. So our concern with the Bharatiya Janata Party is don't just say it, actually do it. You are big on words.
Charu Pragya wants to
and you are
quickly
low on
respond
action.
before I bring in
That
Professor
is what you're all
Makhanlal.
about.
Charu
Double
Pragya.
Yes,
standards.
extremely
Double
important.
speak and double
So,
standards is what the BJP is all about.
Charu Pragya.
So, this high moral ground that Congress wants to take for everything, I find it laughable because you've not
Why no
just
press
lost
conference?
national elections
Why
thrice in a
zero press
row.
conference?
Again, please take your own advice. Arshpreet, let me finish speaking and I'm going to start again, Gaurav. So, this high moral ground is laughable because this is a political party which is losing ground in India every passing day. They can't even be calling themselves a national party anymore. Every single election, they win with such convincing margins. I mean, they lose with such convincing margins. 99 losses in a row. Look at Bihar. Look at the way they performed in Delhi elections last. Look at their performance in Haryana and Maharashtra. You pick any state in this country, 3 national elections lost in a row. And what are the things that they're talking about? And if you're talking about productivity and number of days in parliament, last winter session, 52% productivity was lost because of your walkouts and protests and demonstrations. 52% of the time lost. So you want to keep extending the parliament session? Yes, make it 200 days. But out of that also, you're going to be wasting 150. That's your mindset. That mindset is what we need to get rid of.
If we stay on the current issue for the moment, Professor Makhanlal, so when Planning Commission is renamed Niti Aayog or Aurangzeb Road is renamed APJ Abdul Kalam Marg or Mughal Sarai is renamed Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay Junction or Allahabad as Prayagraj, what purpose does it serve in the long run? You see this as an ideological shift that the BJP is moving towards?
Names do matter. It's not question of ideology alone. It's question of mentality and mental makeup also. When Motilal Nehru got a son, he did not name it Gudadi Lal. He named Jawaharlal. Jawahar. When Jawaharlal Nehru got a daughter, Priyadarshini Indira, names do matter. They carry a lot of weight. When Rahul was born to Gautam Buddha, Gautam Buddha consciously gave the name Rahul, and Gautam Buddha himself explained in later life why did he give the name Rahul. Names do matter because in Rajpath is only for Rajas. When you put it Kartabya Path, it's for everybody. Names matter, and let me tell you, Luti and Delhi's two people, two main architects were there, and they wanted the slope on the Raisina Hills. One wanted it steeper, one wanted slope. And on this 6 inches different, they stopped speaking to each other all their life because one wanted it slow gradient so that common people could climb up. Other wanted a very steep gradient so that majesty of Rawasharai Lag is there. And they stopped speaking. So that's the kind of thing is there. Names
so let me also bring in Neerja Chowdhury on this Mughal garden in Rashtrapati Bhavan renamed Amrit Udyan, or Allahabad goes back to its original name Prayagraj, Faizabad to Ayodhya. You see this as political? You see this as civilizational? Maithili Thakur, the young MLA from Alinagar, says now I want to change the name back to Sita Nagar. So what's the signal for you here, ma'am?
I think it's both civilizational because of the BJP and the RSS have in mind a 1,000-year civilizational project, which they would like to unfold. And it is political because this government would like to leave its stamp, its own distinct stamp on everything. So it is political to that extent. I would say, Gaurav, it is not undesirable. Seva के बारे में आप क्या बोल सकते हो? You are not going to oppose Seva. If the Prime Minister is asking his Prime Minister's office, where hundreds of people work and formulate policy to be full of Seva Bhav, how can you or I take exception to that? We want that to happen. But the question is, how is it going to happen? Now, I would like, because the parliament session is going on, I wish both the ruling party and the opposition members would spend 2, 3, 4 hours and spell out for the country how can the PMO, how can the Central Secretariat, how can others have more of the Seva Bhav than we do. Obviously, the Prime Minister feels the need for more rather than less. I would also wish that this would translate into them talking to each other, for dialogue to be possible between the two sides in our parliament. जिसका
What a
आप
noble
जो-
thought.
जो मर्जी
Absolutely.
आप नेम कर दो, but that spirit अगर नहीं है तो आप क्या करोगे? How will you solve the problems? This is something that agitates a lot of people today. When you see the vicious hatred, virtually, I would say, that one side has for the other. How do we overcome
And we
that?
indeed hope that, everyone would put Bharat, India first, because that's our effort through this through this show. And when everyone puts one ahuti in that yagya for nation building, and we'll be tracking that story very, very closely. I'd love to go on longer on this, but I have breaking news that's coming in from across the border. I want to thank all my guests on this part of India First. But across the border, big charge by Imran Khan's sister, Uzma Khan. She's just met him in prison and she's come out all guns blazing, targeting the all-powerful Field Marshal Asim Munir. Now, Imran Khan is alive. He is in Adiala jail, but he's being kept in solitary confinement. The former Prime Minister is not being permitted to meet anyone, is what the sister says, and he's undergoing tremendous mental and emotional torture in solitary confinement. Remember, leaders of the ruling party were claiming that he has a gym to himself and he's eating desi murga or country chicken, and he has a special chef who's catering to all his needs. Sister Uzma says he's very, very angry, and Imran Khan has hit out at Pakistan's new military dictator, virtual dictator, Asim Munir, who's likely to be the Chief of Defence Forces once that notification is signed. So Uzma Khan says Imran Khan appears very angry. He's being tortured mentally. He's been kept in solitary confinement. He's locked all day. No meaningful interaction with anyone. He's not being allowed to talk to anyone or raise questions about the treatment in jail. She says Imran Khan is blaming Asim Munir for his current situation. Now, will this add a layer to that political confrontation? We'll just listen into Uzma Khan. I'll get you more on that story.
सेहत अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह ठीक है, मगर ज़िंदगी वो उन्होंने बड़े गुस्से में थे, कहते हैं कि हमें ये मेंटल टॉर्चर कर रहे हैं और सारा दिन कमरे में बंद, थोड़ा सा बाहर जब निकल सकते हैं, कोई किसी से कम्युनिकेशन नहीं, कहते हैं कि आसिम मुनीर जिम्मेदार है, ये सब कुछ हो रहा है. बाकी
Tonight, Pakistan is on edge. Imran Khan's sister Uzma finally permitted to meet him inside Adiala jail. But far from calming the streets, protests are only getting louder. From Pakistan's parliament to Islamabad High Court, to Rawalpindi's Adiala jail, to the streets defying Section 144. The demand is the same: free Imran Khan. Imran's sister Uzma Khan granted a rare meeting permission today, but it came with heavy barricading, riot police and layers of checkpoints.
सेहत अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह ठीक है, मगर ज़िंदगी वो उन्होंने बड़े गुस्से में थे, कहते हैं कि हमें ये मेंटल टॉर्चर कर रहे हैं और सारा दिन कमरे में बंद, थोड़ा सा बाहर जब निकल सकते हैं, कोई किसी से कम्युनिकेशन नहीं, कहते हैं कि आसिम मुनीर जिम्मेदार है, ये सब कुछ हो रहा है.
His sister Alima Khan, flanked by others, pushed through Factory Naka only to be stopped at Gorakhpur checkpoint. Consultations between the sisters continued till the last minute, amid swirling speculations on Imran Khan's health and his very whereabouts. Since November 4th, no family member, no lawyer, no aide has met him inside Adiala jail. No image, no video, no official assurance of his well-being. And while Islamabad grapples with spiraling unrest, the political earthquake is shaking Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Multiple PTI ministers, including Mashal Yousafzai, warned the federal government any move to impose governor's rule in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa will be treated as a direct attack on democracy. A single question haunts Pakistan tonight: where is Imran Khan? And is his freedom even possible? With his sisters blocked, streets erupting, and an anxious nation demanding answers, Pakistan edges dangerously close to internal conflict. Bureau Report, India Today.
Two keen park watchers join me on the show. Tilak Deveshar is former Special Secretary of Research and Analysis Wing, former member of the National Security Advisory Board, and Professor Brahma Chilani, again a former advisor to India's National Security Council. Mr. Deveshar, Imran Khan is alive. Is this just a storm in a teacup, or is there fresh trouble brewing for Asim Munir?
Well, first thing, thank you for having me on your show, Gaurav, and big hello to Mr. Chilani. I think it's a big sense of relief for all his supporters and the family that somebody has finally managed to see him after almost a month. He's in good health physically, I guess, but mentally has a sister made out that he is, confined in a solitary confinement for such a long period of time, can break even the best. I don't know why he's being kept in solitary confinement. After all, he's not on death row or something like that. And the fact that he's not allowed to communicate with anybody either, shows that the kind of pressure that he would be under. So that's one part of it. But the fact that the government relented and allowed the sister to meet him shows that the government is also under a lot of pressure. Obviously, the groundswell of support for Imran Khan, which has been visible in many parts of the country, especially in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and in Punjab, would have sort of rattled them to some extent that, why continue with this crisis? It need not be there, just show proof of life and the thing will settle down. But now they seem to be upping the ante. They want to get rid of the KPK government, the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa government, and put it under governor's rule. I don't know why. It is like a government ki aa bail mujhe maar, create one crisis after the other rather than putting things down and let things cool down. They seem to be on the confrontational.
Does this indicate, Professor Chilani, that Imran Khan is not a spent force as many believed after the May 9 incident in Pakistan when, several military houses and installations were attacked and his cadre and leaders were arrested and jailed? Does he remain a force to reckon with in Pakistan, and Asim Munir now realizes that?
Imran Khan remains the most popular politician in Pakistan. There is no doubt about that. After all, his supporters won most parliamentary seats in last year's elections, which were held in February 2024. And he's been in prison now for nearly 2.5 years. And the reason why authorities finally allowed someone to meet Imran Khan is because of these rumors. The rumors were that he may be dead. That's the reason why the government is not allowing anyone to enter the prison, his cell. So to dispel those rumors, a very stringent set of conditions were imposed on Imran Khan's sister to meet with him. The sister happens to be a physician, so she can really assess his physical and mental health. But I think the bigger picture is this, and I think we should not forget that what has happened in recent weeks in Pakistan has completely transformed that state. Instead of staging a coup, the military has engineered something more durable, something more insidious, a constitutional coup.
Yes.
Now, Asim Munir has become effectively Pakistan's ruler. In effect, Munir has achieved what Pakistan's past military dictators never quite managed, which is absolute power with legal cover. Absolute power with legal cover. Even the last Field Marshal Ayub Khan couldn't achieve that. So this 27th Constitutional Amendment, which formally enshrines the military's supremacy over all state institutions, changes the very character of Pakistan. Civilian leaders have been reduced to little more than figureheads, their authority hollowed out by constitutional design. So I was laughing when your reporter earlier in the story was talking about the threat to Pakistan's democracy. Where is the democracy in Pakistan?
There is no
anymore?
democracy. Absolutely. There is no democracy in Pakistan. And Mr. Deveshwar, was this then a smoke screen? The entire focus remained on Imran Khan, whether he's alive or not. And that's exactly how, Asim Munir was able to engineer this coup, keep the focus on Imran Khan. Is he firmly in the saddle now? That notification will have to be signed by Shahbaz Sharif. He has no alternative. Nobody to oppose Asim Munir now?
You see, once that notification is signed and there is an important time lag, because technically Asim Munir retired on 29th of November. He is today not the Army Chief of Pakistan, because the Army Act amendment is so worded that it's only after the issue of the notification that he recommences his tenure as Army Chief, which is then coterminous with the post of the CDF.
Yes.
Now, the only time politicians in Pakistan have some sort of control over the army is when a new chief is to be appointed or a chief has to be given an extension. That's the only time politicians have control. And Shehbaz Sharif and Nawaz Sharif have maneuvered to exercise that control for the last 4 days. Shehbaz Sharif, as you know, pushed off to London, where he was sitting, and the defense minister is sitting in Germany. So they have deliberately prolonged this process. I mean,
is there still a slip between the cup and the lip, Professor Brahmachelani? The last 30 seconds I have on this part of the show. Is there still a slip between the cup of the lip? Or Asim Munir with the army behind him is firmly in the saddle?
Well, it's the latter. After all, who pushed through the 27th Amendment without a real discussion? That same government led by Sharif, right? The civilians. The civilians have neutered themselves by pushing through this 27th Amendment. Can Prime Minister Sharif now resist Munir? Of course not. And under the 27th Amendment, the Army Chief, the senior most Army Chief, in fact, the post of Chief of Defense Forces is reserved for the Army Chief, right? Under the Constitutional Amendment. So where is the question of Prime Minister resisting? Not at all. Whatever the reason is for the delay in the notification, the fact is that, as Nawaz Sharif, the Prime Minister's brother, said in 2020, he said the army was evolving from a state within a state into a state above the state, into a state above the state.
State above the state has come true.
Yeah, that prophecy has now come true.
I've sadly run out of time on this part of the show, and I have to take a break here. But this is a debate we'll continue in the days ahead. I want to thank you, Professor Brahmachelani and Mr. Tilak Deveshwar. The threat of offensive action by the Indian Navy during Operation Sindhur was one of the key factors in Pakistan requesting India for a ceasefire, according to the Indian Navy. The Navy speaks of Pakistan Navy being confined to the Makran port and coast. Indian Navy's offensive deployment also had an impact on Pakistan's economy. So Operation Sindhur saw an unprecedented mobilization of more than 30 warships and submarines in a very short period of time. And the Navy believes that for any navy in the world to have 30 operational ships deployed, locked, loaded and put out to sea at short notice within 4 or 5 days is a big deal. The Navy has sent out a clear message to Pakistan. Next time, the punishment would even be harsher. Now, after the Delhi terror attacks, is there reason for Pakistan to be nervous? Listen into the Navy Chief and the Flag Officer Commanding-in-Chief of the Western Naval Command on Op Sindhur and the future of the Navy.
From 26/11, the coordination among national intelligence agencies has increased quite a lot. And, the regular meetings, we exchange information, we exchange inputs. I think, the seamlessness of exchange of information has really improved. And so we are in a much better state now in our intelligence setup. आपको पता है कि even in this 10/11 जो Red Fort में in front of Red Fort जो suicide attack हुआ था, that was just a small part of a larger story. But that larger story was tracked. It was tracked. A lot of people apprehended the same morning, the previous morning, and we recovered a lot of explosives So that is a very good example of how our intelligence network is working very well and very effectively. यदि आप नेवी में होते यदि तो आप जिंदगी भर एक पल के लिए आप तैयारी करते हो, वो पल आपको मिलेगा नहीं तो कैसे लगेगा आपको? हम लोग चाहते हैं कि जब भी कोई एक्शन हो हम भी उसमें शामिल हो, सभी लोग चाहते होंगे और बट हमें पता है कि हमारा रोल क्या है और हमारे अगर हम मौजूद हो जाते हैं उस समय एक्शन में तो उसका रिपरकशन क्या हो सकता है हमें पता है। तो हमें पहले भी पता था कि यदि हमें अंदर जाने के लिए आदेश मिलेगा तो वो जो ऑपरेशन का जो स्कोप है वो बढ़ जाएगा, हमें पता था। तो वी वर वेटिंग फॉर द राइट टाइम एंड अगर फिर से मौका मिलेगा ज़रूर जाएंगे, बल्कि हम मौके के इंतज़ार में हैं।
Sandeep Unnithan, my colleague, now joins me for more on the stories. Sandeep, what do we make of FOC Western Naval Command talking about Navy being ready to strike, waiting for the orders? Should there be evidence or what's the effect of Pakistan's involvement in terror in India? Does that keep Pakistan on the edge?
Absolutely, Gaurav. And we saw that during Operation Sindhur when the Indian Navy did not fire a single shot, as the Navy chief said. But without that, without even shooting a gun or firing a missile, it transformed Pakistan's Navy into what the Navy calls a force in being, which means that it is a force that appears to be a naval force, but it has absolutely no relevance whatsoever. And you saw the way the India Today Austin team has evidence of how the Pakistani warships were hiding in civilian ports. They had dispersed far away to Ormara, to Pasni, to Jiwani, just to save themselves. And the other important aspect is, Gaurav, the Navy chief also mentioned this today, is the fact that there were at least 15% of maritime merchant shipping who did not want to travel to Pakistan because they feared that they could be under attack, they could be caught in a crossfire. So, in effect, Gaurav, what this shows is that the Indian Navy has the ability to transform Pakistan into a landlocked state almost instantaneously, without even firing a shot. If you can clear the coast of all
and now, Sandeep, when the Navy is talking about,
yes.
Of course, while you have your aircraft carriers, Navy is also talking about, SSNs, they're talking about nuclear submarines, nuclear attack submarines, leasing more submarines from Russia. The Air Force is talking about more S-400s and even the S-500. Russia is talking about unprecedented military cooperation with India, going as deep as possible, as deep as India would want to go. What are the signals that are emanating on the strategic front?
Well, Gaurav, you said it. The fact is that without the Russian weapons, the S-400s and the BrahMos cruise missiles, and of course our homegrown systems like the IACCS, Operation Sindhur could not have been the success that it was. And the fact is that Pakistan can choose to spin it either way, Gaurav. You can, do so much of spin, but the substance is on the ground, Gaurav. The fact is that the Pakistan Air Force could not move on the 10th of May. The Pakistan Navy was paralyzed. The Pakistan Army, of course, had nothing to do during Operation Sindhur except watch their bases being hammered. And of course, they were taking part in the funerals of terrorists, Gaurav. So it's all three arms of the Pakistan armed forces were paralyzed by our strikes. And the fact is that their dilemma will only increase as these new deals come to light. We are talking about more S-400s, which, by the way, is not a defense missile. It's not an air defense missile, Gaurav. It is actually a weapon of offense because it has the ability to completely deny airspace. Absolutely. You're taking out aircraft at 300 kilometers range. You have the ability to, just the way the Navy has the ability to turn Pakistan into a landlocked state. The S-400 has the ability to wipe the skies clean of fighter jets in Pakistan. And that is something that they should be very worried about. And they would be looking at these developments very closely, Gaurav, when President Putin arrives in Delhi on this historic visit of his.
On
what's in
India
the
first, we'll
pipeline?
have
Because
all the
everything
details
that's
of all
in
the
pipeline
military hardware
collected in
that
Pakistan.
India's hoping to acquire and looking to acquire. The Sudarshan Chakra that the Prime Minister referred to in the Independence Day speech from the ramparts of the Red Fort, the S-400s, the S-500s, and a lot more. Over the course of the next 24 to 48 hours, we'll have much more on that big story. Sandeep, for the moment, many thanks for joining me. That is all I have for you on India First this evening. Many thanks for watching.